Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Be It Till You See It interview recap, where my co-host in life, Brad, and I are going to dig into the boundless combo I had with Tanya Dalton in our last episode. If you haven't yet listened to that one, you're going to want to go back, listen to that one, and then listen to this one because, first of all, she's freaking amazing. Second of all, you'll want to hear the recap with that. So it's like 7 to 17 reminders of how much you need to have boundaries.
This was a really amazingly actionable conversation and also really inspiring. She is a powerhouse.
She's a powerhouse.
Yeah.
And she knows it, which I love. I love when people own that shit. There's a lot going on, actually. In real time, Brad actually is in Philly as we speak.
I probably just landed.
Yeah. But I'm still missing Cambodia. I just am. I really want to go back. I wish we were going back sooner than later. But at any rate, you probably saw the pictures. You're still seeing them and have a lot of FOMO. So if you haven't yet done it, get on the wait list for the next one so that you don't have FOMO anymore and you can just go. And if you're thinking, oh my gosh, you guys, I have so much going on. I've got kids, I've got all these things. Guess what? You're going to ask for help for your kids to be taken care of so you can go and retreat yourself.
Yeah.
So go to lesleylogan.co/retreats.
Do it. Come join us. Well, we also got back from a road trip just before I went to Philly.
I know. It's been a little crazy.
And we actually, I'm putting this out into the future here, but we saw the damn Grand Canyon this time.
We saw it. Oh my gosh. If you're on the newsletters, Amanda, our producer, was like, hey, do you have those pictures of how you didn't see the Grand Canyon? And I said, oh yeah. So I texted her the pictures and I forgot how much you can't freaking see because we didn't see anything. And I was like, maybe I'm being dramatic. And I looked back at the pictures, nope, not being dramatic. Never saw it. Definitely was a white wall. So if you're on our list, you saw those pictures in real life and we saw the Grand Canyon. I'm so excited about it. And I'll tell you more about all the details of what we did there in a future episode. But I am just so grateful that we got to take a day for ourselves and check out the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Brad's going to come back from Philly. I'm going to head to Dallas to teach. And if you're wanting to know if there's any space left in the workshop with Erica Quest and I, just DM me on Instagram because I don't know in this exact moment if there will be or not. But I will tell you that I am going to be back in Texas to teach some classes. And not only be in Texas, but we're going to be in Nashville, Atlanta, Greensboro, more. It's really freaking awesome. Brad just loves to put me on tour. It's like living out his music days. So go to onlinepilatesclasses.com/tour if you are in the States and you're wanting to be in a Pilates workout with me. And, maybe get away from some holiday shenanigans for a moment to, serve yourself some Pilates.
Well, speaking of those shenanigans, that leads us directly into our question.
I know, I really do. I saw this question come through and I'm like, yeah, we should talk about this on this episode.
That was a heck of a transition right there. So how do you handle family and the holidays when it comes to boundaries?
Yeah, so when we got this question, I was like, oh, it has to go in Tanya Dalton's because it's all about boundaries, like boundaries. And I don't know, maybe that is the secret key to life. Probably is. Well, Brad, why don't you go first? How do you handle your family and holidays and boundaries?
Well, I think that for me, it's a little different because obviously they're my family. It's how I grew up. I'm very used to how they function and operate. But I probably have a better boundary creation when I was around your family of like, hey, we're gonna, call it a night, and we're gonna retire and go into the spare bedroom, and we're gonna close the door. Right? That's one way to set a boundary. The door is closed. Another one is being clear upfront. with what you're participating in and not participating in. If that's like, if, you know, because I know my family is like, when you're there, you are 100% in on every possible thing for every second you're connected to them, you know, and that's just the way that
they do lunch, they do breakfast, they do dinner, and
everybody's together.
And so I think what's interesting is like, you made the point, you know your family because you grew up with them.
Yeah.
So first of all, if it is with your family and you do know how they operate, before you go, think about what is the normal things that happen and which things you want to participate in, and then just let them know before you're there. So it's not this, going back to L. Russ, it doesn't have to be this like demand confrontational conversation. You always make me have lunch with you. I don't want to do it. You could just say, hey, here's what we'll be participating in, and here's what things we probably won't be available for. I want to give you a heads up before you go grocery shopping. Right?
Yeah. Also, too, like if you know that the after dinner, you know, when everybody's like completely sloshed and the conversation always becomes absurd or antagonistic or degrading or whatever, you know, one thing that some of our friends have done is they get themselves their own hotel room. Mm-hmm. They actually don't stay home. Mm-hmm. And so you can simply say, hey, you know, at 9:00, we're going to go back to our hotel. Mm-hmm. And that way you're completely separated from them and you already know, okay, all I have to do is survive that long.
Yeah.
You know, and I hope that that's not your situation, but it very well may be.
You can also love your family a ton and want to stay at a hotel room. One of my dear friends, I'll keep her name off of this, but she does get, now she lives near her family because she had a kid, but she did get an Airbnb and not stay with her in-laws or even her own family. And they were like a little uncomfortable about it the first year. And she's like, look, I love you and I want to stay loving you and I want to be here for a whole week. If I have to live with you, I'm going to be here for 24 hours. So she's like, I just have things that I like to do and I want to be able to do that. And so it doesn't have to be about them. It can actually be about you. For me, to have all the energy to keep up with this is what I need. And if people don't respect that, that's a different decision you have to make that is actually separate from this and maybe outside my pay grade and where therapy should be in place.
Well, let's talk about your, you know, for example, you have a morning routine. Mm-hmm. You get up, you have a run, you sit with, you know, you read, you whatever, you're journaling sometimes.
I work out in your parents' living room.
Working
I take
out.
over at the
Right, but you know, and around our house, because I'm not an early riser, you're not interrupted, generally speaking. Mm-hmm. But at my house, my dad gets up at 6.
Oh yeah, no, they're
you know,
like,
my
good
mom
morning.
is
And
up
I'm
at like 6:37.
I'm like, good morning.
You know, so like it definitely changes your morning routine because of the other people in the house. And so it might be that you need to separate yourself so you can maintain your routine.
Well, and so here's the thing, like I don't invite them for a walk with me. It's not because I don't want to see them. It's because that is my morning routine and that is my time. And then I have breakfast with them, which is also abnormal. And that, but I keep that. So I think it's like truly picture out past holidays, what you didn't enjoy, and then what can you set the stage for this time so that you can have the conversation in a non-confrontational way. Here's what you can expect from me. I know you're doing your holiday shopping. I just want you to be able to plan ahead. And here's what I won't be participating in because we've got some things going on. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you. The end, you know? And if people are passive aggressive, that is a different story and they always will be. Like there's nothing you're going to do that's they'll be passive aggressive about something else.
Yes.
It's not you.
Yeah.
It's them.
And you know, the other thing is too, like maybe you don't stay for a whole week. Maybe you only stay for 4 days, you know? Mm-hmm. So anyway, I think those are pretty actionable tips there. Great question. Thank you so much for asking. Yeah,
you can send questions into the Beit Pod on Instagram. You can also send them in to the team. You can just reply to our newsletters, whatever it is. We'll find them. We'll answer them. We love answering them. So thank you for that one.
Okay, now let's talk about Tanya Dalton. With the intent to allow her husband to stop traveling for work to be closer to their kids, Tanya Dalton grew her for-fun side hustle business into a multi-million-dollar company, replacing his income within the first year so he could come home and work with her. She's since written multiple books, kicked off her own podcast, appeared as a featured guest on TV news shows, and has received awards for helping female executives and entrepreneurs step into purposeful leadership so they can do less while achieving so much more.
I mean, you know, I was all about her. Like, I was like, yeah, no, she's totally right for the show.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't include any actual specifics in there, but she has like a rockin' company, and she's a coach, and she's a rock star.
She's got 2 books, so get out there and read them. Put them in as part of your holiday travel reading or listening on tape. They're so essential for preparing you for the next year, 100%. One thing that I love that she said, she brought up the messy backpack experience, and I, like, I'm a visual person, so as she's talking, my brain was just thinking about like a big purse, and it's like just full of all these things. And have you ever met those people who like you're like, oh, I spilled to myself, and they pull out a Tide pen, and you're like, what the hell? Like, they're so prepared. That's Brad, actually. And so many people are like a little ashamed of how messy the inside of their purse or messy the inside of their backpack is. But actually, like, very rarely is anyone actually seeing what's inside your bag.
Well, just so that there's some kind of context, it's not about an actual backpack.
No.
We're talking about the experiences of getting through life and like handling trauma and all the feelings and, good days, bad days, depressing days, like exuberant days. Basically, she was talking about, just putting one step in front of the other and doing life that way. And along the way, you will end up collecting, all of these experiences, and you throw them in your backpack. And she said, but it's messy in there. So you don't necessarily let people in the backpack, but when you need an experience, when you need something, you have something to pull from. And that's where Lesley's talking about the purse. I think it's hilarious that you could actually, just pull out a Tide pen, for example.
Yeah. And that comes from it. And I think it's so easy for us to get ashamed at like how we got to something. Like, I think we think that a way to achievement should be pretty and perfect and like something it's so beautiful. But most achievements are messy. Most roads to wherever you're going have obstacles. You trip, you stumble, you get dirty. Like,
totally.
It's just so funny now that things like everything is being filmed, and like the truth is if I filmed everything that I did, most of the time you'd see my hair is not brushed, it's not done up, I trip on mini walks, like, but all those experiences allow you to show up with so many tools in your backpack when you need them.
Yeah.
So acknowledge that you actually have this backpack full of tools, full of things you need. Because it's all there for you. If you are listening to this, you have a backpack that is messy. You just might not be looking in it because you're avoiding it, but you have it and it's there to help you. So I just love that she brought that up. I think it was really cool, easy for you to picture. And I hope people start like using their messy backpacks. Bring it with you. What'd you love?
So she talked about this High Five Fridays. And she said that her customer service team, actually, she said her customer happiness team, gathers together the nice comments and the notes that they collected all week long, and they email them out to everybody on Friday late afternoon. It's the last email that they get before the end of the week, and it's basically just a reminder that they are having a positive impact in people's lives, because I think that it's easy to get lost in the weeds. It's easy to get lost in the whirlwind, as we like to say. And you said, that's amazing. It creates a culture of celebrating, and then talking about the wins, channel that we use and stuff. And Tanya said that celebrating is so cool because it does 2 things. It brings people in to the experience. It allows them to see, that they could have that experience, that they want that experience. And the second thing it does is it furthers your own belief in yourself, which impacts other areas of your life, right? So when you have a win at work and you're like, wow, this is amazing. I helped my client, stand taller today, and she looks amazing because of it. When you acknowledge that and celebrate that, it will help you find more wins in your, when you go back home to your house. There's like, something there, and you're taking that energy, that excitement back to the other parts of your life.
I mean, you know how I feel about wins. I just think that, we have Fuck Yeah Friday. I've decided we need merch. We need FYF merch.
Oh.
Because what a great thing to wear. And be like, what's FYF? And you go, it's Fuck Yeah Friday. What's that? What means at least you celebrate on Fridays. And I really think the more, whether it's a High Five Friday, an FYF, or, a motivating Monday, it's really important to establish some sort of time that you look at what is going well and the impact you're having, because it just makes it better. It makes it easier. It makes it easier for you to uphold your boundaries.
That's exactly right. Anyway, I think that the high five and the FYFs, all that stuff, if you aren't doing that in your life now, just put it on your calendar. Mm-hmm. So like remind yourself at 4:30 on Friday afternoon, bing, alarm goes off. And now it's like, oh yeah, I need to find something to celebrate right now. That's great in my life. And to be honest, it could be very small. It doesn't have to be this mad, like majestically huge, massive thing. It could be, I got up when my alarm went off this morning. I didn't hit snooze.
That's amazing.
Yeah. This morning I started my day with a very cold shower.
I did hear that. I heard sounds coming out of it.
It was like, I don't know why. I've been doing this now for like 2 weeks, but today's shower seemed colder than every other shower I've had. I don't know why.
Yeah, definitely.
It was like, took my breath away.
But just to point out, it's okay to have those wins that are like things that you are just getting done or just doing because you did something, and you need to have that data. That data supports you in everything you want to do. So I'm into it. Yeah.
All right. Finally, let's talk about those beit action items. What bold, executable, intrinsic, or targeted action items can we take away from your convo with Tanya Dalton? I'm going to throw this one in real quick. She just kind of had it at the very end. It was kind of a comment, less an action beit action item, but I really thought it was powerful. She said, if you can't give yourself 15 minutes, that means you're giving it to somebody else instead.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And you two were talking about like, the it must be nice for you, which we're going to get into, but it must be nice that you can walk around the block for 15 minutes. Well, I'm sorry that you can't take 15 minutes for yourself, but I need to go walk around the block.
Well, and also and that I'm sorry is like, it's a little bit like, I am sorry for you.
Yeah, I'm sad. I'm pitying you.
Sad. Yeah. And I don't.
You don't need to be condescending with it.
No, but you don't. But like that, let's just get into it. So we got into this whole "it must be nice" combo, and we've had the episode before on the mental wellness shaming, when like you do go for a walk around the block, or like you do something nice and someone goes, oh, it must be nice for you. If you are someone who's saying that because you're like, oh, it must be so nice for them, just say, I'm so happy for you that you can do that. Because when you say it must be nice for you, it does make the other person feel like it's a passive aggressive, nasty comment.
Oh yeah. And it makes you look bad.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah. And also
that must be so nice for you. Like, ew, I don't want to be around that.
Yeah. And the reality is, if you find yourself saying that to yourself about someone, like you're not even saying it out loud, like it must be so nice for them, that is a sign that they are doing something that you wish you were doing. Yeah. So jealousy is not an awful thing if you use it as a flashlight or a magnifier around an area of your life that you want improvement.
That's true. Like, it must be nice for you. Maybe it must be nice for them, and it's something you're thinking, like, I wish that I could do that too. Yeah. Kind of a thing.
And if you're thinking that, then what boundaries do you need to put in place so that you can have those things too, or whatever that represents?
Yeah, let's talk about your big takeaway.
Yeah, so boundaries. Like, I was just like, wow, this is like, we just got all on the boundaries, and I really did not expect that from bringing her on, because she's an amazing author of other things, but she does talk about it a lot. So,
she's a mom. Yeah. She's a spouse. She's a mom. She's a business owner. She's a homeowner.
And I think like when it's really easy to think about when you think about the boundaries in a business, you forget that your marriage is a business. You forget that your best friend is like, all of relationships in itself are some sort of entity, whether they are for profit or not for profit. And so what is really important, and what I really think it distilled down to, is like communication around your wants and needs. Yeah. And if you don't know what boundaries need to be changed in your life, then you have to look at where you're getting a little bit frustrated. Just a little bit, like the first frustration of the day, the thing that takes you out of the wins moment and right into, what is that? Because that's when you are resenting someone, it's because you are not upholding a boundary that needs to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you should say that again. When you are resenting someone.
When you're resenting someone, it's because there is a boundary that's not being upheld that needs to be there.
Yeah.
Needs to be, and we talked about this the idea of like a school, and if the school is next to a busy road and there is no fence, and they tell the kids don't stay close to the school.
Stay close.
What it does is create uneasiness because no one knows what stay close is. It's very vague. So you've got some kids who are like the total like perfectionists, like, okay, I'll just touch the wall. I won't leave the wall. And then they're not actually relaxing. Right, and then the teacher's like, get away from me because like I need some time by myself. And then there's this kids are like, well, I'm in between the school and the busy road. Ha ha ha. I'm so close because I'm close to the school.
That may or may not have been me.
It's totally Brad. And I'm totally the girl like squeezing the wall like next to the teacher. Like, look at me. I'm so close to the school. And it's like just no one knows how to behave and no one has to interact. But when you put boundaries in place, when the fence is put up, then everyone can play and take up space inside that fence. And that allows people to really understand what is allowed and what's not allowed. And it's so much more freer. Like just picturing that like sounds like freedom, and there's still boundaries in place. So anyways, take a moment. And she talked about this being a thing that you can do, but like take a moment to assess and inventory your boundaries. Which ones, like that's kind of like, it's kind of like what you do around the house. You would go and make sure that your fence is intact around the house, especially if you're going to puppy at Christmas, you're going to make sure that there's no hole in the fence, right?
Yeah.
Same thing in your life.
If you don't know what it means to have boundaries, then
Here's your sign. You don't have boundaries.
Well, you don't have boundaries, and but here's a really clear example and this is what she did, and I thought it was really inspiring. She said there are two types of availability that she sets for her business. One is business availability, and the other is actual availability, right? So there's the differentiating between the hours for business and the hours for availability. She said, when I'm working on my business, I'm generally uninterrupted. No one can get in touch with me. That's on purpose. When I'm when I'm making myself available, that means I'm available for my team to talk to me, and I'm available for my clients. Right. And she actually said, what I do is I put in my signature of all my emails when I'm available to be contacted and when I will be contacting them. Right. So whatever that is, my availability is between 8 and 12, let's just say. Right. And so for 4 hours a day. Oh, wow. Interesting. Because the other half of the day, she's working on her business and she's uninterrupted and unavailable. And what I thought was amazing was she's such a teacher. But she said, I created boundaries with my team, with my family, including my kids, and also with myself. And so with the team, that's the business availability versus the, working availability. Then with the clients fit right into that. With the family, she said she said she had a special phone that would ring, sound that would ring during certain hours of the day. And she trained her kids. This is amazing. She said, I had a magnet board and on the wall, and they had activities on them. And when my phone would ring, my kids would run over to the wall and grab an activity off the board and go entertain themselves so that I could trust that they were being safe and okay, but also I was uninterrupted for my client phone calls. Yeah. How cool is that?
Oh, I mean, come on. Like, it's amazing. And for the mamas listening, like, please steal that from her because you're like, I can't be on a phone call. They need me. Well, if they're an infant, probably, but if they are at all able to play with anything safely, you can allow them to go like, this is what you get to play with this. And kids like boundaries. They really do. They like to know what's allowed and they like to play with that. So I just think everyone's thriving when you have boundaries. Everyone is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and she talked about that too, you both did because, you work with your spouses. Hi, I'm Brad. She said the secret to a happy marriage is communication. And then you had this whole conversation about communication, which ultimately led back to boundaries.
Same with boundaries. So y'all, what are your boundaries? We want to hear them. Tag the Beit Pod with your takeaways. Tag Tanya Dalton. Check out her books and let us know how it goes. I'm Lesley Logan.
And I'm Brad Crowell.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We are so grateful that you're here. I can't even believe it. I'm so excited for what's going on with the podcast and the guests we're bringing on. It's all because of you. So again, share with us how you're going to use these tips in your life by tagging the Beit Pod, send it to a friend, text it to a friend.
Yeah, don't just send it to a friend. This specific episode, send it to a mom.
Oh, yeah.
They don't have to be a business owner.
No.
Because she talked about, and I know we're signing off, but she talked about how the home is effectively a nonprofit business.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you don't see yourself as a business owner, but you have a family, probably you're setting out operational plans of how you execute life.
Let me just tell you, that just gets us into a whole thing about how I think moms should be paid, because they do keep, they allow for the other person in the household who is working to have a job where they can go be uninterrupted and the household is fine.
Yeah.
But that's a different topic for a different day. And I'm just going to say, I love that we're changing this up, because it's like at the end of a movie. Like, should I wait for the end of the credits? Like, you should be on the whole time till the very end.
Yeah.
So
if there's one thing that you, if you want to help us out, you share this podcast. This podcast, send it to another mom.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Have an amazing day.
That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day. Be It Till You See It is a production of As the Crows Fly Media.
It's written, produced, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Crowell. Our associate producer is Amanda Frattarelli.
Kevin Perez at Disenyo handles all of our audio editing.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to our designer, Jairo Mandal, for creating all of our visuals, which you can't see because this is a podcast, and our digital producer, Jay Perdoso, for editing all the video each week so you can.
And to Angelina Herrico for transcribing each of our episodes so you can find them on our website. And finally, to Meredith Crowell for keeping us all on point and on time.